everybody, it's Rayne, and in today's video we're going to take another look at bananas. This is a colorway that got a little frizzy in the dye pot, so I'll link it up in the eye if you want to see me there dyeing it. And we're going to spin it today, and I'm going to show you that frizzy fiber can still be spun into gorgeous yarn. Here we go. I've already spun half of it, which is 3.5 ounces, which is 100 grams. There's a whole 100 gram braid on here. We're going for a worsted weight, and this was the slightly felted braid that I had made a video on. So what I'm going to do is pull it out, and I'm going to show you how you can tell something's felted, but you can tell with this one. I want you to listen to this. Hear that sound? It's almost a ripping sound because the fibers have felted together, and it's pretty felted in some spots, but it's not nearly felted enough to where it's unspinnable. If it was unspinnable, you could do this all you want and it wouldn't come apart. If you can pull it apart, you can spin it. It is a little bit of a more of a challenge to spin something that's slightly felted. But I'm going to show you how to do it, and hopefully we can learn something together. So the first thing you want to do is pre-draft a little bit out. I'm going to set my speed to a little bit past 12, just a tad. And I've got it on the Z-twist. We are spinning the same as this single, which is Z-twist, and then we're going to ply in the S-twist, just like a normal braid would be. I've got my leader here. I've just strung it through here like so. I'm not worried about the thickness of this or anything like that. I'm gonna hit my foot pedal to turn my spinner on and let it start adding some twist. Alright, so I've got some twist added. And I want my singles to be about fingering weight, so that when it's plied together, it'll be worsted weight and it'll be 2-ply. I unfortunately lost my spin card, the only spin card I had. My daughter, she loves that little thing, and she lost it, so I don't have it. So we are just going off of eyeballing it, pretty much. And we can always stop and check our wraps per inch. I know this is too thin. We need a little bit thicker. We want to pull it up to here. It's close, but it's just a tad bit too thin. So we're going to add a little bit more. We're going to let a little more fiber come into the fiber supply. Just like that. Now, this is where your challenge comes in with the slightly felted fiber. When you're drafting out, your fibers are you're going to have resistance when you draft out. That's the problem with when your fibers get a little felted. When you go to draft your fiber out, it'll just pull apart like that instead of smoothly drafting out. Like this middle part is not as felted, and it's smoothly able to pull out, and we could go ahead and spin that. But the edges here, it's pretty sticky here on the edges. So what you need to do is come down here and pull apart your fiber a little bit. You want to get those crossed fibers back into their straight alignment, and pulling it apart down here like this is going to help you with that. Definitely pay more attention to the edges. The edges and the outside part is what is going to felt the most on a braid like this. The fiber gets really wide. It's really floofy and fluffy. So I'm just going to pull that a little bit, get it going, and we will start again. Just lay the two together. And I'm trying to get a nice consistent worsted weight. You see how it's really hard to pull? Like I cannot, and there's no twist in that fiber. See? I've got my twist pinched up here. I've got all my twist pinched up here, and there's no twist in that fiber. But when I try to draft it out, it's just not coming out. So you have to come down here and kind of tease it open a little bit. I'm still holding my pinch up here, and I'm just coming down here and teasing that fiber more. And now let's try it. Now it's going to start drafting out a little bit easier. And I don't mind if it gets a little, I don't mind if my twist goes up into the fiber supply a little bit. This is a semi-worsted. I'm not going for worsted this time because, of course, the fiber is a little felted. So, giving myself a break. We're not going for a true worsted. We're just going to do a semi-worsted and not worry about any little fluffy bits like that get on the fiber. We're just going to try to get it to spin and get a nice yarn out of this. Come back, tease that fiber open so we can start drafting it out again. Now that'll happen a lot of times. See, I went to draft it, and instead of it being a nice smooth draft, it pulled a little bit too thin. That's going to be too thin for what I'm going for. So I'm going to just untwist, pull that on out, and just lay it in a new spot. So this particular top was already steamed before I even attempted to start spinning it. And that will really help release any kind of tangled fibers. If it gets a little tangled during the dyeing process, you can steam it and it will release a lot of those tangled fibers. This fiber was already steamed before I started spinning, and as you can see, it's still a little bit hard to draft. I wouldn't call this fiber felted. I would call it a little frizzy, honestly. That is gorgeous, don't you think? Gorgeous. Love it. So, I got all of that fiber spun. This is 7 ounces on each bobbin. I tried to make it as even as possible. I threaded it through the little hole in my Lazy Kate, and we are going to ply this up. Now, it did take me a little bit longer to spin this just because I had to stop several times, and it was a little hard to draft, and tease it open. But it spun up fairly nicely, and I think it only took me a day, but I was able to devote a couple hours of straight spinning, so it really didn't take much longer than a normal braid would, especially since I decided to spin it thicker. And I realized that my wheel was having a little trouble with this, so I want you to always keep your Ashford eSpinner 3 oiled up if this is what you spin on, and if you have a spinning wheel with the treadles, keep it oiled up. It will make a massive difference, trust me. So this made such a difference. I normally didn't oil my wheel, but every couple other spins, now I usually oil it before I do a bobbin because it really made a difference on the smoothness of how my wheel was spinning. So remember to keep your wheel oiled up. And I was just plying like I normally do. I have other videos on plying. If you'd like to check those out, you can look at my playlist. I'll link it up in the eye for all my spinning videos. Let me know how the holidays are going for you guys. It feels really different this year. It really hasn't, the Christmas spirit has not hit me yet, if that makes sense. But I do have my tree up and the kids are excited, so that's all that really matters. And I'm kind of excited too, I guess. So anyways, I finished one bobbin and I had a little left on that bobbin, so I always grab my ball winder. This is from Knit Picks. It has worked for me for years, and I only had to take it apart and lube it up and fix the gears in it one time, so that's wonderful. And if you would like to see how I join my skeins of yarn together smoothly and flawlessly, I have a video in the eye. I'll link it up here as well. I joined that little center pole ball to the rest of my bobbin and went ahead and spun it like so. And I know this might change the twist a little bit. It might make a little bit of a difference, but I honestly can't tell any time that I do this. I do this with all of my skeins to make sure I use up the last little bit of any singles, and I can't tell a difference while I'm spinning it or afterwards in the finished product. So that's my opinion. I do this with all of my singles to get rid of them and keep it all together, make sure I have a full bobbin full. So I finished, I got to the end, and I just went ahead and tucked it under. And I usually let my bobbins sit for about a day or two, at least 24 hours. We're going to do an experiment in the future on if letting them sit matters or not. But for now, I do let them sit because usually it's too late in the day to go ahead and set the twist. So I usually just do it the next day. Now this is not exactly the right color under this lighting. Here is the right color. This is the finished yarn. Absolutely love how it turned out. I think it's gorgeous. It's more of a bulky 5 weight throughout. I think it was about 215 yards for the whole 200 grams. I am going to be listing this in my Etsy shop. If you're interested in it, check my Etsy shop in the next few days. I always link it in the description of every video if you would like this particular yarn. And I will see y'all next time. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave this video a like if you enjoyed. We are almost at 600 subscribers. Floored right now. Thank you guys so much, and I will see y'all next time. Bye-bye.